I recently caught up with Don McDonald, a computer programmer analyst, as well an avid fisherman who fished the Miramichi River and the Nashwauk River. Currently, Don applies his analytical and research skills on the environmental impact that the construction of the Energy East pipeline could have on New Brunswick if this pipeline were to be constructed and put into service. Don has spent many hours researching his information from the primary source, such as the Government of New Brunswick, Energy East, TransCanada, the National Energy Board, and others. To fully understand what the potential impact this pipeline can have on New Brunswick's delicate watershed system, you have to be able to visualize New Brunswick's water system, including all the tributaries that this pipeline crosses. If we look at a map, I have indicated in red most of the major tributaries and small streams that flow through the province. Here is Don to explain how large of an area we are talking about and what the consequences can be should there be a failure in the pipeline system.
Don?
Yeah, I was here to talk about water mostly. I'd start off briefly with the Miramichi, okay, because my interest has been I fished the southwest Miramichi and the Nashwauk River systems for years and years and years. A lot of people don't even know, I think, that the pipeline will cross the south branch of the southwest Miramichi and will also cross a number of tributaries of Lake Brook and Lake Brook itself and the Taxis River, which runs into the southwest Miramichi at Taxis River near Boys Town. It runs through the woods all of this distance from Lake Brook, for example, right to Boys Town. If you had a spill that occurred in the late afternoon or early evening up in that area, Lake Brook in particular, maybe even in Southwest Branch, it would reach Boys Town before anybody could see it. Now their leak detection system, the pipe can leak 1.5% to 2% before their automatic leak detection system kicks in. 1.5% of 1.1 million barrels is 16,500 barrels. 2% is 22,000 barrels of this bitumen, diluted bitumen. So a lot of stuff could get down to Boys Town before anybody would see it. Their secondary leak detection system, and this is clear throughout the province, is they fly the pipeline. Typically they would like to do it within 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. But a maximum could be 3 weeks. Okay, and I have a document, I can't give you the link to it here, but that shows that 37 million liters at the 1.5% can come out of that pipeline before it's detected by somebody seeing it on the ground or whatever. So this is a terrible, terrible disaster. The southwest Miramichi is still a good salmon river. There are sporting camps over on it. There are private land. There are people who make their living on that river. Now, you may be more interested in the St. John here, I think, but I thought I should bring that up because it's an important waterway in the province, okay? As far as the St. John goes, I fished the Nashwauk, and I know of a number of tributaries. I fished Cross Creek, for example, out there above Stanley, and we were out to Arnold Brook. I knew about Arnold Brook and McGibney Brook and 5 Mile Brook and so on, okay, and there are others. All of these little brooks have tributaries. All the tributaries in these brooks run into the Cross Creek. The Cross Creek runs into the Nashwauk. The Nashwauk runs in, and everybody around here knows exactly where the Nashwauk runs into the St. John. Now, as far as other tributaries of the St. John, I don't know a great deal about them. The mapping is very poor, as Marilyn said. But I know Green River runs into it, and I know Tobic River runs into it, And I thought I had another one here. No, I guess those are the others I know. But there are other areas, okay? Cambridge Narrows is an area, for example, it's a beautiful spot and a big, big bunch of water down there, right? And also Grand Lake. That's another huge body of water that this pipeline can leak into. Now, I spent an awful lot of time digging out all of this information. I dug the coordinates out of TransCanada's previous filing for every crossing in New Brunswick, and there are 281 water crossings in the province. So I loaded it into Google Earth, so now I can draw it for the whole province in smaller pieces so you can. But the problem is, you don't know, you can't see the brooks well enough to know where they go, okay? And there is SNB has a map available, it's called the New Brunswick Atlas, which you can get at, which is like topographical maps, and it has roads and all of this and water and all of that that you can look at. And you can zoom in on that and you can sort of follow stuff. But it's still very, very difficult to know exactly what's happening now. So we can leak anywhere in this pipeline. Like that was 37 million. I worked out the worst case, which was 3 weeks undetected at 2%, 73 million liters could leak. Their third, I didn't mention the third mechanism that they have passed after the flying. That's people seeing it or smelling it. And here you are out in the middle of the woods, miles from a leak. A leak starts here and it's miles to where anybody might see it in a good part of the year. So basically you're at the mercy. If there's a leak, and there's lots of pipeline leaks all over the place. Now the other thing about this stuff is that a lot of people don't realize, and they will try and deny, is that this stuff sinks eventually in water. I've got evidence of it from a paper that's published on the National Energy Board website. They mix it with these diluents, they call them. It could be propane, could be various other, all kinds of tanes or thanes and so on. And they mix this stuff in it and they heat it to get it to go through pipe, because if you don't do that, it's like heavy tar. You couldn't get it through the pipe. So they mix it with these diluents and they're volatile. So when it leaks, give it a day or so, or 2 or more, depending on outdoor temperature and so on, and these evaporate, and then what's left sinks and gets into sediment and the rocks and so on the bottom of the rivers. So we have that to face, on top of the fact that a leak is hard enough to clean up when it's up on the top of the. And if you want to find out and see what it's like, Google or YouTube Kalamazoo. That's all you've got to do is look at Kalamazoo. Enbridge had a leak there. It's been a total disaster. I think it was 2010. They spent over $1 billion already trying to clean it up, and the stuff is still in the mud and the sediment in this river, the Kalamazoo River. So that sort of summarizes what I've got. I had a document. Oh yeah, just one more little thing. I had a document here, 2 documents, that it took me a lot of time to find all of the information in the initial filing. I don't know how long I spent rooting through their stuff because it's poorly indexed. And I finally found what I was looking for. And guess what? They just filed their new documents. They overwrote all of the old documents. All of the links that I had figured out in order to get to this information are gone. I got to go now look through half again or 2/3 again as much information to try and find information that I'd already found and probably hasn't changed, or at least most of it. So I was gonna give out the document, but I can't. It's broken. They broke it yesterday. Okay, that's when, I wondered why the day before I couldn't access the information on the, because I was checking to make sure these links all worked, and I couldn't access the site at all. And then yesterday, or this morning, when I got there, they filed a new, filed all these new documents, and so piece of the stuff I got broken. They broke it. My time's not worth anything to them, I guess. So that covers what I wanted to say, other than it would be very helpful if people right from the Quebec border, right clear down to the mouth, or to wherever the pipeline ends in Redhead, if people along that river would, there's a link on Conservation Council. I can put, like, if all you people are on Facebook or whatever, I can post on my page a couple of links. The link to the NB Atlas and the link to the map that the Conservation Council made that has the coordinates for all of the various river crossings. I can post that, but it would sure be a big help if we could consolidate information by people who knew the lay of the land in various places going down. Like, I know the area where what I was talking about. Like, I live in Stanley, like I say, so I know that area pretty well. But it'd be helpful if people who knew the other areas documented some of this stuff. And then we could get a better picture of the damage and where the damage could be all over the whole length of the pipeline. So basically, that's, I guess, about everything I got. Well, everything I dare say.
We forget that the forests are the lungs of the planet, and the waterways and tributaries are the arteries and veins that keeps this planet alive. Thank you very much for watching.